Hey everyone, so today I'd like to talk to you about the animation industry. More than just bouncy balls jumping from one side of the screen to the other, animation is a very expansive medium with potentially limitless possibilities. Ever wanted to have a cute pink character fly high in the clouds? Animation can do that for you. Wanted to bring a T-Rex to life? Animation can bring that. Literally anything you can think of, animation can make it for you. But there are a couple of guidelines that usually should be taken into effect. So we need to begin the process with a little bit of background in the animation field. According to Lambic.net, French cartoonist and animator Émile Cohl was often referred to as the founder of animation. While motion pictures were all the rage, Cohl, at 50 years old, found one of his comic strips stolen from a movie poster. Nowadays, that kind of thing would never fly, as movie studios go through strenuous detail to make sure they're not plagiarizing any work. Any work at all. But back to the story, Cohl was outraged and confronted the manager of the studio, thinking he'd single-handedly take down the poster. Imagine his surprise when he was hired on the spot as a scenarist. Scenarist being the person generating the single-page pitches for movies, back in the day. In the modern day, movies have upwards of hundreds of storyboarding, script writing, and lots of time to put in them, even with animation. According to the actual scripts used for Disney's Toy Story, they used around 100 to 150 pages of scripting for scenes, sound effects, and dialogue. That doesn't take into account the tedious amount of time perfecting the storyboard either, with an entire month devoted to 30 different versions of the same movie. That's a lot of time to put into an 80-minute movie about toys. According to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, animation is defined as a way of making a movie by using a series of drawings, computer graphics, or photographs of objects, such as puppets or models, that are slightly different from one another and that, when viewed quickly, one after another, create the appearance of movement. Boy, that was a mouthful. Animation, being limitless as it is, has a very stable root in its foundation. No matter if you're creating a short 10-second clip of a kid throwing a ball, or a multi-billion-dollar company making a heart-stopping and breathtaking piece of media, they all use the same frame-by-frame system. A frame is basically just a folder of data which can have pictures or keyframes in. They're put in a line over a timeline which plays them back in order depending on how many frames you want to play per second, labeled as frames per second or FPS. With that simple concept, mostly anything can be created. Back in the day, film reels saved the image of each frame and played it one after another on a screen. Nowadays, with fancy technology, anyone can make animation for free. Another important aspect to animation, at least in the modern day, is what are called keyframes. These allow you to move a 2D or 3D object from one position to another and interpolate, or simulate, the frames in between the movement, making the computer-generated animation 1,000 times easier. With this, computer animation was born. You need somewhere to make and bake your cookies, and you need a place for this too. Programs are an animator's bread and butter, allowing them to create any media they want without worrying about the technical minutiae like keyframing, frames per second, easing, post-processing, and a whole lot more. According to Skillshare, a platform where you can learn almost everything in well-thought-out courses, the most popular and used program for animation is Autodesk Maya, a paid program that helps modeling, rigging, and animation. It's so popular even Disney uses it. It's been used to make movies like Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., and even Avatar. But if you're just starting out, maybe a subscription to a program isn't right for you. My personal recommendation is Blender, a free 3D and 2D modeling, rigging, video editing, post-processing, material creating, and animation software. Did I mention it's free? The program has so much going for it, and it doesn't even cost a dime to download and start messing around with. Want to know how good it is? Look at me! I'm made in Blender. All my textures, all my modeling, all of this was made with an amazing software. But let's skip the hype. Blender, no matter how amazing it is, still holds on to the basic principles of animation, being keyframes, frame-by-frame playback, interpolation, and other roots that define the medium. Let's see what Blender can do by starting with, for instance, the humble ball. Round in form, the ball is a very simple geometric shape. It has a predefined set of vertices that combine to form a shape of a ball. In Blender, you can make any shape you want from it, but you can also animate it to do whatever you want. You want to throw it against a wall? You can do that. You want to stretch it to impossible lengths? You can do that too. Again, the possibilities are limitless. Maybe you don't want to do a 3D animation though. Maybe you just want to do a 2D animation. Well, Blender sorta has that. Yes, Blender can easily do 2D animation using the grease pencil side of the program, but you can also do that with Adobe's own Animate program. This program has all the roots of animation all packed into an easy to use program that you can download on many devices. Adobe Animate basically uses all the predefined tools an animator uses and keeps it on a flat plane. You can draw what you want and move it however you want it. The more you look at the animation programs, the more similarities you can find with them. Now all of this is well and good if you want to be an animator. What if you're just an average Joe or Jane who doesn't want to animate, but are still interested in fantastical movie pictures? Well, there's always a place to hop onto the medium, more than just making models or animating. The industry has thousands of people working on each aspect that goes into the movie production. According to Zippia, a career website that tracks analytics and research careers, the Walt Disney Company actively has around 201,000 employees. Most of the employees are doing much more than moving a ball across a screen. Obviously, it's dependent on what job they have in the industry that defines how close they're connected with the movement of the characters, but every job is important. The screenwriters, the ones that make the scripts that are made into film, need to communicate with the animators to see what they can really realistically do in time. But the executives, the ones who are in charge of all the business related and monetizing aspects of the company, don't really need to talk to the animators. You might also be thinking, what if I don't want to work in the animation industry? Well, there's still some good news for you. Animation is a growing medium, no matter how many film flops it may have. The creativity put on the table is immeasurable and potentially infinite, and it isn't even in America that these kinds of fantastical stories are made. In Japan, anime is one of the most popular media for animation on the market, bringing in around $24 billion according to Cartoon Brew. According to Do You Know Japan, there are over 6,000 anime titles that have been produced, and more than 3,200 were aired on television, all with very different concepts. Each one has thousands of hours put into it, and hundreds of creative minds working every single day to make amazing art that they love. In reality, anyone can make anything they really want to in animation, even some questionable things. The animation industry is growing and only getting more expansive with each passing day. If you want to become an animator, great! There are many avenues you can follow that lead you down to great work. If not, you can still support the industries that pour countless hours into every aspect of detail that makes these stories so rich.